who is best to give you advice, and it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice. I got my first acting role, Empire, and it's changing my life.
It ended with his wife flagging down police and telling them the actor had assaulted her for hours inside their Goodyear home.
In the world of Hollywood, where fame and fortune often go hand in hand, there are stories that captivate our imaginations. Stories that reveal the underbelly of the glitzy world of entertainment. One such story surrounds the rising star Bryshere Gray, a name that has become synonymous with talent, controversy, and the intricate web of showbiz dynamics. Imagine stepping into the shoes of a young man whose dreams took him from the streets of Philadelphia to the grand stage of the entertainment industry. Bryshere Gray, often known as Yaz the Greatest, embarked on this incredible journey that, like a roller coaster, had its exhilarating highs and hair-raising lows. But what sets Bryshere's tale apart isn't just the ascent to stardom. It's the tumultuous path he navigated, a path that some say was riddled with misuse, mistreatment, and the influence of figures much older than himself. Figures who allegedly took advantage of his vulnerability. Now fasten your seatbelts because Bryshere Gray is about to drop a bombshell that will shake you to your core. Get ready to hear the shocking truth behind why he didn't achieve massive success in the industry and the mistreatment he endured throughout his journey. It's the kind of Hollywood saga that could keep you hooked, especially when mentors like Will Smith and Lee Daniels are rumored to be involved in more than just guiding him, allegedly.
Surrounded by a whole lot of strength, he's surrounded by a whole lot of love, and all he has to do is add discipline, and he's gonna be all right.
Dubbed as Yaz the Greatest by some, this rising star burst onto the scene as Hakeem Lion in Empire, injecting his energy into the character of the youngest Lion's son. But how did it all start? Bryshere's tale, as we shared in a juicy 2015 magazine interview, involves rapping on the streets of Philadelphia, where he poured his heart out into his music. And then fate stepped in with a certain Charlie Mack, who happened to be more than just a manager. He was deeply connected to none other than Will Smith. Well, you won't believe the twist that kicks off this tale. At first, Bryshere Gray wasn't too sure about diving into the entertainment world. Can you imagine? He was more focused on his music and just got signed. So the idea of auditioning for Empire, a big show, wasn't his top priority. But fate had other plans. With a little push, he decided to give it a shot. That decision turned out to be the game changer, setting the stage for what was about to unfold. Bryshere sent in a video audition for the acclaimed director Lee Daniels. And guess what? Daniels loved it. Next thing you know, Bryshere found himself in LA, auditioning alongside none other than Taraji and Terrence, who were also gunning for lead roles in Empire. It was like a star-studded audition party. The stars aligned, and the rest is history. Empire became Bryshere's ticket to fame. But hold on, because Bryshere's real-life story took a turn no one saw coming. He started out as the sweetest guy, winning hearts with his character and the show's music. However, somewhere along the line, things changed. The Bryshere that emerged later seemed like a whole different person, almost like a version 2.0 of his Empire character, Hakeem. The transformation was shocking. And then, brace yourself for the unexpected twist. In 2021, Bryshere found himself in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. He ended up pleading guilty to charges related to domestic violence against his wife. The incident was jarring. His wife suffered non-life-threatening injuries, visible bruises, and even stated that she was strangled by Bryshere, temporarily losing consciousness. The ordeal escalated to a point where a SWAT team and crisis negotiators had to be involved to bring him out of the house. But here's where it gets even more jaw-dropping. During this 2-hour interview with law enforcement, Bryshere's account of what happened kept changing like a wild roller coaster. The interrogation tape somehow leaked to the public, revealed a chaotic narrative that had us all on edge. It was a far cry from the sweet beginning Bryshere had in the industry. This tale of twists and turns leaves us pondering the complexities behind the spotlight. During the chat with Bryshere Gray, things took unexpected turns that might leave you scratching your head if you catch it. It's like trying to follow a story that keeps changing its path. In the beginning, he shared that he popped over to his buddy John's place for a casual game of football. Out of the blue, he got a buzz about police swarming near his crib. Then the plot thickened as more cops arrived and started questioning Bryshere about John's digits or address. But he shrugged, saying he barely knew the guy, almost like meeting someone new today and not knowing where they live. Now here's where it gets even more intriguing. The conversation shifts gears to tracking phones, and Bryshere brings up some eyebrow-raising details about his wife's mental health and their rather unconventional open relationship. He claims that messages, which were supposed to disappear, somehow managed to reappear, and his wife has had struggles with self-harm a couple of times. He even introduces a character named Mark, yet it turns out he's dealing with bipolar disorder and ADHD. But he's skipping his prescribed medication, and it seems Mark is just a made-up name Bryshere uses when ordering food to hotels. Fast forward to November 2022, and Bryshere finds himself in hot water once again for breaking the rules of his probation. A lady he was dating reports to the police that he's been spiraling out of control, leading to his arrest. Trouble isn't exactly a stranger to him. He's had previous run-ins with the law, including a domestic dispute just the previous month. Not disclosing these incidents to his probation officer lands him in even hotter water. And the housing situation isn't exactly smooth sailing either. His landlord has a bone to pick, complaining that he left his dog alone for extended periods and his place ended up bearing the brunt. He's been up to all sorts of shenanigans like throwing things around, causing toilet blockages, and even turning the bathroom into a dining room. And just to give you a glimpse, those are just a handful of times he's bumped into trouble with the police. If I start going through every single instance he's had with law enforcement, we might need a good chunk of time. It's worth thinking about the possibility that Bryshere could indeed be dealing with bipolar disorder and ADHD. But because he chose not to take his prescribed medication, it might have caused some challenges for folks trying to collaborate with him in Hollywood. However, let's also raise an interesting question here. What could he have gone through in the glitzy world of Hollywood? I mean, there's a rumor mill that's churned out some quite astonishing stories. Take, for example, Jaguar Wright, who put out an eye-opening revelation about what's happening behind the scenes involving Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, including Bryshere himself.
And young men have left their house fucking screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Bryshere Gray left that house fucking screaming.
And let's not forget, this doesn't solely revolve around Will Smith. There are whispers of similar situations involving Bryshere at Dwayne Wade's place. And yes, I did add the allegedly.
I'm saying that because of the artist that I just spoke to not that long ago that got invited to a party at their house. Everything was cool up front till they went to the back and there was a bunch of old and young boys back there, all naked in the Wade house.
Now, as for Lee Daniels, well, who's to say what unfolded there? I distinctly recall that Breakfast Club interview. Let me tell you, the vibes were pretty odd. First off, Lee Daniels went on about spending quite a bit of time with Bryshere, but his son wasn't exactly thrilled about it.
He met my son for the first time. My son has an issue with him.
Because
I spend a lot of time with him, writing and stuff like that. So he has an issue with, he has an issue with my work.
It wouldn't shock me if Bryshere went through some really terrible things that contributed to all of this. Don't forget, his earlier years were quite tough. Plus, he was dealing with mental health problems. Entering Hollywood and facing these situations could have deeply affected him. Some fans seem unsure about who or what to hold responsible. One individual left a comment suggesting it all rests on Bryshere's choices. They said, Bryshere entered Hollywood at an age where he didn't want to have to do anything he didn't want to, but it's easy to do some things and later have regrets about it. None of that made him bipolar. He either has a chemical imbalance or not. I'm choosing not to make any excuses for him. He has been diagnosed and prescribed meds, but it's up to him to take them. Another person added, being banned from blackballed from all the craziness in Hollywood is probably the best thing for Bryshere. Maybe he'll get himself in order if he chooses to keep his distance from the industry. Those people are weird, wild, strange, and aren't to be trusted. But I'm curious, what do you think about Bryshere's journey from success to downfall? Could Hollywood have treated him poorly and then pushed him aside? Comment down below. And while we wait for more updates, make sure to watch this next video where we reveal even more shocking details about the Hollywood industry.